Welcome to Sewing Back. My name is Brandy, and this is what I got to do today. I got to get in my garden. My family that were in town, they left early, bright and early this morning, and headed back to North Carolina. And it's always bittersweet. We had lots of good laughs and going down memory lane and playing with our niece and discovering a new love she has. And it was just really good. It was good family time over the long 4th of July weekend, and I am grateful. My heart is full. I hope we sent them home to North Carolina with warm hearts and feeling of all the feels from home, from her hometown. And hopefully my niece didn't think we're all too crazy or anything like that. So she was quite helpful in the garden. Because this is what I did today, but I have other stuff on the table where she was helping pick with Uncle John, and she also collected eggs. She got to take some of those eggs home, and she liked the chickens a whole lot. And so, and of course she played with all the puppy love. And so anyway, it was great. And like I said, I'm very thankful for it, but it is time. Like, I feel the pressure. It is preserving time. And so I had hoped before they got here I was going to be able to get my the last of my sweet potatoes canned, and I'm glad I didn't, because when my sister was going through some things to take home, she's like, "Can I have some of your sweet potatoes?" And I was like, "Yeah." So because I had not preserved them yet, I still had them, and she was able to take them home because they love to do like baked sweet potatoes and stuff. So I just peeled those, and in today's video, I want to show you how I'm going to do a raw pack method of this. I know it doesn't always have a pretty finish, but what I want to have those for are one of the new favorites that we like to do is it's a Lily's chocolate chip sourdough sweet potato muffin. And you can do it as a muffin. I know a lot of people don't like muffins because they say they're a pain. You could do it as a loaf. You don't have to do it as a muffin, but I have a video on how to make those. They're not, well, most anything I make is not overly sweet because I'm very careful with that because I have blood sugar issues. And so I guess you could make it sweeter if you wanted to by adding more sugar or things like that. In this recipe, I'm pretty sure I thought I only used coconut sugar, and I don't think it might have been half a cup to make those muffins. And I was using canned sweet potatoes. It was an organic canned sweet potato I had gotten from Azure, and when I was testing out that recipe, and it was just delicious. And so what I want to do is I want to do a raw pack method because I don't want, a lot of people when they do sweet potatoes and they can them, they'll cube them up and then they will do a simple syrup. And I know it looks prettier in the jar, but it adds a lot more glycemic index to the end product. So when I made my muffins, I also had freshly milled those with some kamut flour. So had the bran and everything in the fibers, but they were a very healthy muffin, and that's kind of how I want to keep them. Now, if blood sugar is not an issue for you in your household, you could totally do a simple syrup with that, and but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do a raw pack, and I'm going to use my Nesco canner, and I'm hoping to get, I got to get it all diced up, but I'm hoping to get 5 pints, because that's what I can fit. You can do 5 pints or 4 quarts, and I only need a pint-sized jar to make the muffins, or if I decide to turn it to a loaf. So as you can see here, I have already peeled all of my sweet potatoes. This is the last of the sweet potatoes from last fall's harvest. We have 2 different varieties of bush sweet potatoes growing this year that we're giving a try, and they are doing fantastic. I'm very excited about them because John built me deep beds so that they could go down deeper and hopefully produce more sweet potatoes. Last year, the raised bed that we had them in was just a foot, and so they actually just started like popping out of the ground. They had nowhere else to go, and so and we were thankful for our harvest, but I'm super excited to see what kind of harvest we get this year from all of our potatoes because we did them in such deep beds. I've done that one other time in my front garden, and I had a pretty good yield in the parts of the garden where it got full sun. So I have that now, so I'm excited that this will be a good sweet potato year. Okay, it's later, it's late. Life happens. But I have all of my sweet potatoes cubed and ready to go. I'm doing the raw pack method. So you need a pressure canner. I'm going to be using my Nesco pressure canner. Y'all have seen me use it before. And I'm going to show you how to do it with this recipe. This recipe comes from this comes from the Purposeful Pantry. This is Darcy Baldwin. She does a lot of dehydrating videos. So I was kind of excited when I saw she had this canning video. And I'm pretty sure this is the blog post said it's the USDA approved canning method for sweet potatoes. So you can't mash sweet potatoes and can them. You can cube them. So what we need is I have 5 wide mouth pint jars because you use wide mouth in the Nesco canner. And you have to, on this recipe, you have to leave 1 inch of head space. So I'm going to start filling my jars with my sweet potatoes, okay? And then I have used my handy dandy tea kettle. I boiled my water. You pour the hot water over your potatoes. You're gonna debubble it. This is my little stair step. The last one is 1 inch, so you wanna make sure that you can check your jars that you have 1 inch. You may be able to add more sweet potatoes. I have my little funnel to put on top, like so. And I also have my little handy dandy wand here for getting my lids and bands. They are on the stove. You don't have to do that anymore. That's just how I learned, so I always do. It's like, what is that? You don't teach an old dog new tricks. And then I have some white distilled vinegar here that I will wipe the tops of my jars off before I put on the new lids and bands. You can reuse bands a couple times, but lids 1 time. And if you want to use old lids that you had for just like odds and ends, you can, but not for canning. So canning, they're approved 1 time for your traditional ball and kern lids, okay? And that's what I'm using today because that's what I have, because these were actually new jars. I did wash them out. You don't have to sterilize them. I washed them out with warm soapy water. I've dried them, and so now we're going to get to the process. This should move pretty quickly. And you do have to peel the sweet potatoes. You cube them about, I guess that's like 1 inch. Maybe that's half an inch. I don't know. Parts of it are 1 inch, somewhere in there. And so you just need hot water, and it's optional if you want to put salt in it. I think I am going to put some salt in it just because I already know by doing the raw pack method, it can kind of make it not very pretty in the jars. It can look kind of cloudy and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little salt in there. I read, I don't know if it was on her blog post, somewhere I read it helps a little bit. So because I'm doing pints, I have to process these for 65 minutes. And I will show you that when we get to that. So let's get to this. I'm going to kind of speed this part up because it's just kind of monotonous, and you'll get the gist of it pretty quickly. So here I am filling up my jars with the sweet potatoes, and when you do a raw pack method, this is the part where it's kind of trial and error. So you go ahead and you try to get your sweet potatoes in.
to what you think will be the correct headspace, which for these were 1 inch. And then you pour your boiling water over the top, which you can see I'm doing here. And then the next step is to get your debubbler, and you want to try to debubble. And it's generally during this time where you will find in a raw pack where maybe you have to take in sweet potatoes, take out, sometimes you can add more. You can also see I went ahead and I did add, I did half a teaspoon per jar. And so yeah, so it's just making sure that I had the correct headspace. I'm wiping all of the lids with vinegar, because even though this, I didn't use the simple syrup, which you can do when you make this recipe, sweet potatoes are still sweet. They still could give you some kind of sticky residue. So I went ahead, cleaned the top of those lids off of the jar just in case, so I could get a good seal. And, you know, I guess I'm going to give it away. All of them sealed. They all sealed just fine. I didn't have any problems with it. And I have to say, raw packing, whether you're doing green beans, sweet potatoes, chicken, it is just such an easy way to go if you are pressure canning. I just, outside of maybe doing something special, a soup or maybe a sauce or something, I just don't know why you wouldn't just about raw pack everything. And so, because it is just that easy. And so anyway, this is how you get your cans ready, and you get your bands and lids on fingertip tight, and you get it in the canner.
Alrighty guys, so I still have a lot left, and I am either thinking I'll do another batch tomorrow. I'll just put these in the fridge, and I'll just put them in some water, put saran wrap over it, put it in the fridge, and do a second batch tomorrow. Or I may end up cooking these and making a sweet potato mash to go with our dinner tomorrow night. So these were the last of last year's sweet potatoes, and I'm gonna get 5 pints of this. So I'm leaning more towards using this for dinner tomorrow night, because I've got plenty of things to water bath can tomorrow. So I think that's what I want to do. So let's head over to the canner so I can show you how this works. It's super easy. Okay, so this is my Nesco canner. It is a smart electric canner, and I have 4 jars already in here. And before I put in the last jar, I need to go ahead and put hot water. You got to have 2 quarts of water when you're pressure canning, whether it's pints or quarts. So I'm going to pour this in here, and you can put a little white vinegar if you like, if you're worried about siphoning or anything. I really haven't had a lot of siphoning in this canner like I have my stovetop canner, because my stovetop canner being a gas stove, sometimes, you know, having to sit with it and make sure it's not getting up too high in pressure, that can make your can siphon. So I really haven't had that as an issue with this one. So I'm not going to put vinegar in it, because, and not only that, this is just water. It's a raw pack, and so I didn't use a syrup. If I would have used a syrup, I might have. All right, so what we're going to do, you see I've got my cans in there. And there is a trivet looking thing that comes with the canner down below, so they're not sitting directly on the pot. And I'm just gonna close it. My gasket is greased and all that. All this is in good working order. So I'm just going to close it, and it's this easy to close, just like that. I'm gonna plug it in. All right, so I think I said 75 or 65. I gotta check my minutes. 65 for pints. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit the high button, because we're going to be pressure canning, okay? Well, first of all, we need to make sure we have it on exhaust, because it has to exhaust first. and it'll do that for like 10 minutes, just like a regular pressure canner. And then once that happens, once it gets up to that pressure and it does that vent for 10 minutes, there's a timer on here. It'll say E10, and it will count down. E does not stand for error. It's just exhaust. It stands for exhaust. So it's exhaust 10. It counts down that 10 minutes, and after that you turn it to airtight and you just leave it be until the timer runs out. It beeps, it'll say off, and you unplug it and you just leave it alone, let it cool down naturally, and then you can take it, take your jars out, let them sit for 12 to 24 hours, make sure they all sealed, and that's it. That's how easy this canner is to use, and this is one of the reasons I love it. And it's great if you're doing small batches. While I did have more sweet potatoes, if I would have used my stove canner, I could have done more, but I would have to sit here and babysit it, and it's late tonight and I don't want to babysit it. So I'm thankful for this, and honestly I think that's going to be, I'm going to make a really nice mash sweet potato tomorrow night to go with dinner. So it's all good. It all works out in the end. So we're going to hit high, and then you have to put in your time, and it is loud, and I apologize. So we're going to get up to 65 minutes, okay? And all we have to do now is hit start. And it's going to circle around until it builds up enough pressure in the canner. And then at that point, when it has enough and it's ready to start exhausting out that vent, it will do that E10, and it'll beep, and when it gets to E0, it'll beep again, and when you hear that beep, that's when you know to hit airtight. That's the only thing you have to do other than what I've already done. And the rest, as they say, is history. So I'm gonna get this going, and I will show you. I will probably be done filming because it's late and people are going to bed, and I will show you what they look like in the morning, because I won't open this up. Once it's done, I'm going to bed, and I'll meet you back here in the kitchen tomorrow. So have a good night. Good morning, guys. So this is the canner. I left it overnight. Let's see how these turned out. It's still warm in there, but not hot. When you do 5, this is the hardest part, is getting one of them out. I'll just do it by hand. That's what it looks like. That one's sealed. Let's see. I don't think they look too bad. I think the thought is over time they get cloudier looking on the shelf, so maybe the salt will help that. But that is a pretty easy canning project right there. Yeah, all of them sealed. So yay, that's winning. That's winning. I'm excited. So I'll just leave them here for probably about 10 hours or so, and I'll take the bands off, label them, and put them down on the pantry shelf. So anyway, I'll do like a close-up picture of them so you can see them. Hey guys, I just wanted to hop on. It is dinner time and I just washed my jars off. I took my bands off a little while ago. I went ahead, after I washed them and dried, I labeled them. I put my name on these Brandy's Sweet Taters because these are the ones I grew, John and I grew, that we actually have our video where we harvested these last fall. And I just wanted to show you, they all sealed. And they're going down on the pantry shelf. I'm fixing to take them down so I can pick up my dog's food so I can feed them their dinner. But anyway, super duper easy canning project. And to be very honest, I mean, time will tell. I only did 5 jars. I imagine we'll go through these before the end of the year, and I have a lot more sweet potatoes growing for this year. But I think this is going to be the perfect size and way that I want to use for my sweet potato muffin, my sourdough sweet potato muffins. And I'll probably also do that as like a quick bread kind of thing. But anyway, I just wanted to show you they did all seal and no problems in my Nesco canner. I will link all of that stuff in the description. I don't know if there'll be any sales during Prime on the Nescos or not. I don't really, to be very honest, I don't know how all of that works, but I will put it in the description. And you know, if that's something that maybe you are thinking about, this is wonderful. I love the small batch canning possibilities. So anyway, if you are looking for a canner, I will put the two I own. I own the Nesco Smart electric canner, and then I also have a Presto, the cheapy Presto 16 quart canner, and I think they're about $40-ish in price difference, and I'm thankful that I have both of them. They both have a purpose. There's also, you can get like an All-American. Those are nice canners. They are like you pass down through your family, but they are pricey. So I don't have one of those. I'm happy with what I do have. It gets the job done. And yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching. I hope I inspired you to try to can some new things that maybe you hadn't thought about. And you know, if you happen to be at the grocery store and you catch a deal on sweet potatoes, now you know you can can them. With that, I'll see you next time. Bye.